All right, this really pisses me off because about the same time yesterday, I was out here to record what I'm about to re-record now. Somehow, I'm thinking that I deleted it because I recorded a video after that didn't turn out. Something happened. And anyway, the bottom line is I don't have the footage of the thing that I recorded, which happens pretty rarely, but when it does, it really frustrates me. And usually when it happens, I scrap whatever it was I was recording to begin with because I just can't go through the same thing again unless it's something important. And this is not really important, but it's been something I've been meaning to document on my website for quite a while. And what it is what I'm calling the most impressive thing that I've ever built in my life. And it's all wrapped up in this tiny little package here that is, I'm going to measure it, 19 inches this way, that's deep, 18 inches wide, and 7.5 inches tall. This thing is a 6-channel amplifier that I finished building, I think in 2010, so 8 years ago. And it has been on basically ever since. It's what I use with my homemade speakers, my 3-way speakers that I have in my living room. There are 6 individual amplifiers in here. You know, you get your typical stereo amplifier, has 2 channels. This has 6. 3 for the right channel and 3 for the left. Do I have my hands right? Who knows? Anyway, I'm going to pop the top off. I have screws that go in the back here, but I don't put them in anymore because it's kind of friction fit here. This comes up. This thing here is basically all made from wood. This is spalted maple on the sides here, really nice. Got some curly figured grain over here. And it's got these bars in the middle here, which are actually cedar. And I was going to leave them that cedar color, but I changed my mind and I spray painted them black. And they're mortised into the maple here, so it's all nice and solid. It's painted black on the inside because, you know, it's a piece of audio equipment and so on and so forth. So that's the lid that covers it up. Now I'll tip up the machine here, which is quite heavy actually. I would guesstimate this is close to 70 pounds. And a good part of that is this huge transformer in the middle here. And you need the big transformer because each one of these amplifiers puts out about 100 watts. And you need that for the speakers I have. It seems like it would be too much to be driving 100 watts into a tweeter or 100 watts into a mid-range when you're putting the same amount into a woofer. But that's not the case. You want to have them all the same. And that's what I have here. So what else is interesting about this? I'll get to the boring stuff first. I'm hitting the saw blade on my saw. The front panel here is more maple, except I cut it in strips like this. And in between the strips are pieces of walnut. And the finish that I have on here is really glassy smooth. This is about 7 or 8 coats of Danish oil that I brushed on, wiped off, and then let dry for a day, sanded. So it took well over a week to get the finish on this thing here. Exactly the same finish on the maple that's on the top here as well. I did them both at the same time. I'm going to call it interesting because it's certainly different. These heat sinks that you see on the side here are not actual heat sinks. These are door thresholds that I got from jobs when I was doing the door and hardware thing. And these would be left over because often you get to a job that has ceramic tile on the inside. So you don't need that part that lips down. It'll be just half the threshold. And these are split and they had a plastic strip in the middle. And that's what you see, these slots here that go through here. What I did was I cut them into pieces that are, 6.5 inches long or 6 inches, whatever they are. And I bolted them all together to make up the both of these heat sinks here. And then I bolted an angle on, and that's what the amplifier boards are fastened onto. And so the heat comes out of the transistors that are in the amplifiers and it radiates out through these heat sinks, and it's very efficient. Works really well. Let's try to get it in a little bit closer here, and I'll tip it up for you to see. Like I said, this is the big transformer here. This is a 50 750 volt amps. You have to know about transformers to know what that means. Basically, it's very powerful. And here is the power supply boards. I have a separate power supply for each side of the amplifier. This power supply board here powers these 3 amplifiers here. Same for that one over there. And there's fuses in place, so it's all nice and safe and good. Down here, I have a soft start board that I made. Everything that you see here basically is completely 100% made by me, except for the individual components. I made the soft start board. I designed it actually, and it works well. What it does is it stops the amplifier from starting up quickly, which is kind of difficult to explain. Well, it stops the inrush current because it takes a lot of current to charge up all of these capacitors and these power supplies over here. So that soft start does that. The amplifiers themselves, I designed those, and that was a long process actually. I can't really put a time on how long it took me just to design this amplifier here. It's based on several common designs, but I added my own touches. Mainly the objective with designing your own amplifier like I did here was to get a better understanding of how it works, because when I started it, I knew very little about this. And I gotta be honest, I'm about back to that right now, because basically everything I learned about this stuff here, not everything, but most of it, I've simply forgotten because, you know, you get older, you forget stuff a lot easier. Anyway, so design the amplifier circuits themselves. I did the board layout, and I have a zip tie laying in there. I blew all this out yesterday. That's the reason why I took it out here, to clean it out, and I thought I would talk about it. But anyway, so I did the board layout, and I made the boards. I'm going to get a picture here. You'll see closer. What's known as the silk screen on the top here is actually copper. This is a double-sided copper board that I etched. I etched the top side copper to show where all the components go. I thought that was cool at the time. And these are really good amplifiers. You know, typically when you turn on an amplifier, especially a homemade one, you get some kind of a big thump when you first turn it on. This has no thump whatsoever. You turn it on, there's not even a whisper from the speakers. What else can I say, or what else can I remember saying yesterday? I think it's coming out a lot smoother this time though. And turn it upside down a little bit here, or sideways. You can see the bottom. The chassis for this, I guess you could call it, is stainless steel. And the stainless steel I got from another job. They had these grates that were right inside the doorways. You've probably seen them in shopping malls or whatever. You go in through the doorway and the snow comes off your feet and goes down into the grate and it drains away. Anyway, these things had this stainless steel on the bottom, and for some reason they had to take it off. So I wound up with a full 4x8 sheet of, I think this is 20 gauge stainless steel. So I used part of it here for this. It bends, it's across the bottom here. It bends up the back, it bends up the front, and it screws right onto that front wooden panel there. And as you can see, has all of the connectors on the back here. These are the audio input, and these are the speaker jacks here. Okay, I think that about sums it up. This is not the only cool thing I've made as far as electronics go. I built a guitar amp, two of them actually, a big one with two speakers in it, and that's down in my basement. I built another one for my brother's 40th birthday. He's a guitar player, so I built one for him, and I gave him, was a smaller one. Sounds good though. I also built the speakers that I talked about earlier. And these things, well, the speakers are covered on my website, pictures. But if you want to hear more about say the guitar amp, I'd be happy to pull it out and bring it out here and do a little show and tell and talk about it. If you're interested, because I've been meaning to cover that one on my website as well. So just let me know in the comments if you haven't fallen asleep at this point on this boring electronics project here. Just let me know if you want to see that kind of thing, and I'll put something together, and hopefully I won't erase it this time.